All right, this is Rita Carr, Chair of the Nantucket Historical Commission, calling to order the December 20th meeting of the Nantucket Historical Commission to order at 10:02 a.m. I'd like to take a roll call of our commission members. So when you're going to call your name, please confirm that you can hear me. In person, we have George Butterworth.
Aye.
Clement Durkee. Here. Online, there is Abby Gumelina.
Here.
Angus McLeod.
Here.
Sarah McLean.
Here.
And then I don't see Diane. Okay. And then also in person, we have our Holly Backus, town preservation planner, as well as some people joining us online as guests. This meeting will feature public comment. Please wait to be called on before making any comments, and make all comments through the chair. This meeting is being conducted in a hybrid format. If you're participating online, please be careful to with what you share on your screen, as it will be captured by the video recording. That covers it?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the first thing on the agenda is public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to make a comment at this time? Seeing none. Okay, great. We can move on to our staff update. Holly, is there any?
Yes, just that MHC has provided their comments on all of the batches to PAL. PAL has received your comments and they're compiling them together. They'll be working on them at the end of this year, basically whatever is a couple weeks left of the year into next year, and then they're gonna wrap up and produce those final drafts, and then they'll go through the process of MHC accepting them and putting them online, and I'm very, very, very excited. So there's that, and then I'm going to be basically in the new year getting that RFQ out so we can get that going. I have talking to MHC on it. And then just another note, at the beginning of the new year, we're gonna have another staff member at the town, so I'm very excited for that. And hopefully maybe we can eventually have some more staff, so.
Will that be a new land use specialist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Very excited.
Great, well, thank you. So next on the agenda, we have the historic tax credit project, a resubmission for a letter of support for 89 Easton Street. And I think we have some folks from that project who are joining us online, is that
Yes,
correct? Yes,
Brian's here.
Brian Laver, Epsilon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am the consultant. I'm working with the owner, William Murphy, and we are again seeking state historic tax credits for the January round. There have been no changes to the project. Everything has been approved. All National Park Service conditions have been satisfied.
That's great to hear. Commissioners, does anybody have any questions on this?
It sounds like it's just a repeat, so a re-up of our approval.
Yes.
Yeah, without any proposed changes, I'll make a motion to submit a renewal letter.
I'll second.
All right, motion made by Angus, seconded by Abby. Does anyone want to discuss the motion before we take a vote? Okay, great. So Angus, on your motion?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Clement?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to extend a thanks to Brian and Epsilon, as well as the owner who's here today. We definitely appreciate seeing historic tax credit applications.
For sure, yeah.
Thank you.
And we'll get that.
Happy holidays.
We'll get that out to you, yeah, for the January deadline.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next, carrying over from our discussion last month and over the past few months, is the certified local government MOU. There was an updated draft version in the packet, which reflected, the discussion that we had last month. So that highlighted part at the beginning is the same highlighted part that's been in there. And then, so we talked about adding our mission statement. So that's what you see in yellow, there. And then the HDC mission statement is like an entire page. So I was suggesting that it could be included as an appendix to this MOU or some sort of addendum, just because yeah, it's quite long. And then we talked about changing the special note. So this part that's highlighted is different. So instead of the part, Holly, is there more on the next page that, oh shoot, this, oh, sorry, so this, instead of the previous special note about not interfering with the duties of each commission, this has the same sort of preamble and says nothing in the above memorandum shall be construed to alter or limit each commission's responsibilities under their respective enabling legislations.
So, Madam
is
Chair, just to clarify, what the page that we're looking at in the special note. So notwithstanding anything to the contrary, be it fact or interpretation, that part isn't included, but the nothing in and above memorandum shall
No.
be construed stays.
No, so the notwithstanding anything in that language was in the prior version. So that's why that's not highlighted, just because it's the same as what was there before. And then the yellow part is what is different. So that entire special note would be what was included in the memorandum. And that notwithstanding anything to the contrary, be like that, as far as I could tell, is just essentially a little bit of legalese to say that nothing in the above note would be, essentially saying that this note at the bottom is, sort of takes, it's not, that nothing in the above portion should be construed as to be in, should be contrary to that note, sorry. It's been a long week.
I think it looks fine, the special note as updated.
Any other thoughts from commissioners before we take public comment?
I don't know. I kind of think that what is highlighted, I don't know, is the notwithstanding anything to the contrary, is that part necessary? It seems like it makes it really clear, nothing in the above memorandum shall be construed to alter or limit each commission's responsibilities under the respective enabling legislation. So does anyone want to keep the notwithstanding part?
Did you think we had to keep it legally, Rita?
I wasn't sure. It seemed to be sort of like I am not a lawyer. It did seem to be just standard, legal language and
Boilerplate.
yeah.
Weren't you gonna show it to somebody?
I don't think we had discussed that, but Holly, did you have a chance to send this to town council? No.
That's a whole process in itself.
Okay, so that'll
Yeah.
happen
I
next.
can't, I
Yeah,
can't.
maybe we should just flag it when we send it to legal, to town council, and Angus, to your point, we can be like, do we need this? If not, we can take it out, but if he says like we have to keep it, we'll leave it in.
That sounds good, Abby.
Yeah, just to like have him double check, because I agree with you, Angus, like if we can make it more clear and concise and take it out, it's fine. But
Yeah,
we just want to make sure.
Succinct.
yes. Hi, Hillary, yes?
Yes, hi, good morning, everybody. So my only concern about the part in yellow is that the duties of the Historical Commission are conveyed both by the enabling legislation and by the practice and the tradition and practice in the state of Massachusetts. And it's pushed down to the local level by the state Historical Commission. So I just wouldn't want to create a situation where you're doing something that other commissions do and that the state historical commission expects you to do, but it's not actually detailed in the act, and it creates confusion or some misalignment with expectations. So I would suggest inserting it, sorry, in the last statement in yellow, that under their respective enabling legislation or practice statewide, or something along those lines, if you understand what I mean.
Yes, I do. Perhaps it could be respective enabling legislations or mission statements, as I feel like the mission statement for the NHC does capture that sort of practice. How would,
It's really, well, yeah, yeah, so it's what's coming from the state. So there's this document that actually says, it's like an orientation for new commissioners, and it's really specific what HDCs do and what HCs do. And it's in much more like plain English.
Is that covered in our MOU that we already have, Holly?
No.
The
That was a
document,
question for Holly, sorry, to staff.
the document that Hillary's referencing is like a primer, if you will, from the state that basically it's very, very clear. This is what a historical commission does. This is what the legislative body, if you will, the regulatory body does, the historical HDC. I believe it might even be on the website. I'd have to check somewhere floating unless it's been hidden, but I know there's a link to it to the state's website. We could always link to that document to say, you know, this is what we intend, because I think at the end of the day, we don't want to recreate things. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, but I understand the intentions of making sure we're not creating any unforeseen circumstances down the road. So I get that. The boilerplate MOU that Massachusetts requires us to have for the CLG's requirements it's a boilerplate when you have two commissions like we do. And so again, you know, I think a lot of this individual MOU that the commissions decided to do in 2021 for this it's above and beyond. The MOU for the certified local government was specific to, okay, these are your responsibilities under the federal program. This is, you know, what we expect. It wasn't to say, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, the additional responsibilities under the CLG respectfully doesn't fall on the commissions anyways. It falls on me. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. I do think though, linking to MHC's primer would be helpful, because there is a link on the town's on the state's website, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can
I
just
hope that
add
answers
that to the,
I can find it too, if you all want to see it.
Can I add something?
yes, of course, Angus, please.
Does it make sense to just say link to state and local legislation, just insert state and local before the last three words of that?
Sorry.
Oh, if it maybe throw it back up on the screen.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I was trying to find that.
under their state and local respective enabling legislations.
Right. Respective state and local enabling legislations. Does that make sense?
Could you repeat that again? Sorry, through you, Madam Chair.
Oh, just when you get to the end, limit each commission's responsibilities under their respective state and local enabling legislations.
Yeah, that seems fine.
So if I may, it's just if we keep going back to the enabling legislation, it's both the, what's in the law, but then it's all the practice and all of the manuals. I have I have it on my computer and I'm just trying to find the link so I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the document, we've been discussing,
Yeah, that's just
yeah.
adding those two words,
Mhm.
3 words, state and law.
Or, oh, yeah.
Angus,
Is,
yeah?
is the suggestion that would sort of close that loop to be under their respective enabling legislations and practices?
Well, I mean, that's,
I worry that. Like, do we need to be more specific than that? Because,
Yeah, because you don't want to open, like Rita, you don't want to open the box unless we're very specific about. And I think we also want to make sure that HTC would be comfortable with whatever we're gonna put in, right?
They haven't seen it yet, I don't think.
Right. No, but I mean, I think I don't know if is that part of the concern.
Well, and also if the practices are in any way contrary to the legislation, does that open us up to, following one thing that isn't the other?
Right.
I don't know. Either way, it's going to go to town council before it's presented to the HTC, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I think it's necessary. But again, maybe we should just ask town council, see if we need to include it or not.
Mm-hmm.
that's good. So would anyone like to make a motion that perhaps we ask Holly to send this to review for town council with the note that we would add state and local, in
Enabling.
that last sentence, before respective enabling legislations, and with the question of whether or not that notwithstanding anything to the contrary, be it in fact interpretation, whether that's necessary.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Abby.
I'll second.
Thank you, Angus. So motion made by Abby, seconded by Angus. Abby on your motion.
Aye.
Angus,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Clement,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. Okay. Great, thanks, everybody. Moving on, last month we discussed the recommendations of the National Alliance of Preservation Commissioners and their independent review of the HDC and what role we as the NHC might play in supporting those recommendations. And we voted to write a letter to the planning director in support of what I think was probably the strongest recommendation in that report was the need for additional historic preservation specific staff at the town level. So there's a draft of that letter in the packet. Did anyone have any thoughts or comments or edits?
No, I think to me, it just shows our support of extra staff. And it seems that they're looking at extra staff, so, and it will come to fruition.
I mean, yes, but I think what's important to note is it's that preservation function.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there is a difference between the land use specialist roles and actually having somebody with preservation background.
Yes, and I think that understanding of historic preservation law and
Right,
best practices is something
right.
pretty critical.
And on that note, may I, Madam Chair?
Please.
If you all are on the NPT's email list, you probably saw a wonderful email that went out this week about my colleague Nikki Sheriff, who is our land use specialist who handles the HDC's inspections. She does staff approvals with me, like kind reviews. And she went to the National Lands Preservation Commission's forum with me in Florida this year. And it's just a fresh breath air of just to see somebody else, in my words, geek out on preservation related, and somebody young and willing to learn. And she is going to be going to school for a graduate certificate. And she received a scholarship from NPT. So thank you, NPT, for acknowledging that. And I think this is another thing, a step in the right direction. And hopefully this can encourage the town. And hopefully we can have more staff that would be helpful for I think as the town grows and, all of us, I'll just speak as an employee for the town, we do a lot of work. A lot of us are, as you know, double dipping, having to do multiple roles. And I think that's from the top down. We all do. But as we grow, one way or another, I think having a qualified preservation-minded staff is very important. So thank you to MPT for that support too.
It's very exciting. Okay, so I don't know, do we need a motion to say we want to send this letter when we've already made a motion about writing the letter, or?
I had one comment about the letter. In light of the new hire, we don't want that to get confused with what we're asking for here. So should we make some sort of reference to that, this is great news for Plus, but we still are looking for someone who specifically has experience with preservation, historic preservation.
Right.
Whatever.
Yep, we can certainly. Oh, and Diane, is that you? Did I see you join?
Diane's here. Hi, Diane.
I've been here. It's just
Oh,
it wouldn't pick up, but I've gone over it 100 times, but now it's working.
okay, great. Well, we're glad you're joining us now. Great, wonderful, and we can note that for the minutes.
And also, I wanted to say, yes, I think we should go back to what you were talking about of using the attorney, our lawyer, to review the letter. Yes, yes, yes.
Great, wonderful. So we'll do that for the MOU, and then, so for this letter, we can add just a note to reflect that notwithstanding the recent hiring of another land use specialist, we still feel there needs to be more historic preservation specific staff within the Plus department. Something to that effect.
So I would move that we accept some language of that sort, and we accept your ability to put that language in without our having to
Review it again.
review it again.
Okay.
But that's a great point.
I'll second that.
All right, great. So motion made by Clement, seconded by Angus. Clement on your motion.
Aye.
Angus,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Diane,
Aye.
and I'm an I as well. Great. So that will take care of that today.
Excellent.
Then we had on the agenda, next item was the commission discussion for minimum maintenance of contributing structures at 10 New Whale Street and 5 Candle Street. So this is again a conversation that we started last month. And Angus, you had requested that this, be included on the agenda. And I know this has been in front of the HDC. So would you like to start us off, or?
Sure. The reason I suggested putting it on the agenda today is that it was either our last meeting or the previous meeting that we had started discussing it, and it wasn't really on our agenda. So I just wanted to sort of give us a open door to be able to do that. And the in this, thank you for pulling this up. So if you go down to C, and Holly, you might be able to help with this, but in case where deterioration has already progressed to an advanced stage and where immediate removal is requested by the owner, the standards for raising in what's ST for? Statute?
Yes, that's the special act.
1970. So I looked that up, and I believe that it just means that it needs the approval of the Historic District Commission. But Holly, do you have anything to offer on that?
I believe you are correct because chapter 395 is the special act in it. That's where it talks about raising a structure. I think section 6. So, but we can confirm that.
So anyway, that was
Yeah.
the reason for bringing it up. So if
What,
anyone has any comments, but if you're curious about what's happening with the HDC, I was a little bit surprised to see that it was continued for a month. But it's giving the electric company time to get a report from their engineer. And the chair of the HDC made a comment that is logical. This has been going on for decades, and another month isn't going to make a huge impact. They know that we are concerned and are wanting to have actions move forward for its preservation. So we'll see what happens with the report or when we meet on this in a month.
can I ask a question?
Yes, Diane, please.
I've been following you, living down where I am, and being a member of the Harbor Shellfish Advisory Board for a long time, and being a scalloper and a fish market owner dealing with our fishes here. I am concerned about that particular area. And if you, I'm sure everybody knows, you go back and read in this federal description, a brick building, no matter almost how bad it is, can be repaired. It doesn't have to be demoed. They are asking to demo a building that has stood there for how long, Abby? Holly, how long have they?
That one, yeah, I believe it said 1927, 28, around there.
Right. And you take that and destroy what they want to do because the Board of Selectmen is continuing with that, whatever it's called, brick buildings they want to put down there, that it is a questionable thing. And I hope that people look into the history of the electric company and the loss of that land to the public, because that area, that brick building and everything else is part of our existing harbor view. And that's got to be, I think it should be considered in the thing. And also I would like to hear a report from a freestanding engineer, not the electric company's engineer. Obviously, he's going to say what they want to say. I think that if this building is torn down and turned into what the Board of Selectmen want, we have lost the fight, I think. I think it's a very important area. So that's just the way I feel about it. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you, Diane.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I did want to go back to Angus's question about this section. So looking at the special act, it specifically is that section of the special act where no building or structure within the historic district shall be raised without first obtaining a certificate
Mhm.
So basically that process. Basically, because you gotta remember the law that we're looking at here is in the general bylaw and it's referring it back to the special act. So that's what pretty much that is.
Okay.
I just, to the, not application, but the item on the HDC's agenda, it is been continued to the January 17th meeting.
I think our meeting is January 17th,
Oh.
our next meeting.
Is it?
I believe so.
What, let me see.
Yes,
Holly, it would
that's-
be the day before, wouldn't it? Because we're Friday and usually HCC Thursday.
You are correct. So yes, our meeting, this commission's meeting is the 17th, so it would be the 14th. Sorry, I get too many dates in my head. So the January 14th meeting, they requested that time to provide information. Hopefully we do receive something and we'll go from there. Actually, I'm glad the chair, was obliged for that. I think that was helpful. So it obviously won't be discussed till then. It'll be interesting to see what they'd have. And to Diane's point, yes, I mean, we don't have our own engineer, and I am always leery about engineering letters. So, but I did want to thank NPT for providing some of the history on the structure. You guys was able to pinpoint exactly within the article at the Inky of when it was commissioned to be constructed. So there is no question on the date on this structure.
And then certainly as a contributing. historical
Absolutely,
building
both
to
of
the
them
next-
are.
To the NHL, and obviously some of that last remaining physical manifestations of the industrial history of the waterfront, and I think important to be preserved and not demolished, at least.
Right.
That's how I feel personally. I certainly agree with Diane. Okay, so at this point, does anyone feel like there's something for our commission to do here? Or
I'd
Sarah?
be happy to add one more thing. I know other commissioners will want to speak on this, but to Diane's point, the HDC was unanimously in support of keeping the building. It was even referred to as what was it, in the industrial version or commercial version of one of the three bricks. So there's complete support from the HDC that we don't lose this asset. The weekend after this, after our HDC meeting last month, I was able to meet with one of the people who's doing the restoration of the candle factory, who does masonry restoration around the world, and is currently working on the Whaley Museum. And we went around the building, and he said, without a doubt, this is something that can be repaired. The issue appeared to him that that because of the roof not being maintained, the water went into the walls and then got to the steel reinforcement, which can expand up to 16 times its size, which is kind of like a bomb going off in slow motion. And so that's really the issue that needs to be addressed. It didn't take a month for him to come up with that, but I look forward to hearing what the engineers say from the electric company. That's all.
Great, thank you, Angus. Is there any other comments on this?
I mean, I just think that was my question. Has anybody really looked at it besides?
Yeah. Especially people who want to tear it down.
Besides people who want to carry it down. So I'm glad to hear that there have been some other, I mean, you know, obviously. Got to get an official person that knows what they're looking at. So that's great.
And it would be a great candidate for adaptive reuse of some
It
sort
really would be.
and retaining that part of our downtown.
And it'd be nice because that whole, we know that whole area, something's gonna happen. And something's gonna happen soon, not soon, but the wheels turn slowly. But it would certainly be nice to have that kind of as an anchor we can't change this. So work
Is
around
there
it.
tax
A
credits too?
marine museum.
Essentially, yeah, so many great potential
So many.
uses for that space.
Well, I think it's very, very important.
Mhm. Certainly, yes.
So should we make sure to include it on our agenda for next month? Because it sounds like it'll be right after the HDC hearing, and then we can kind of further the discussion, see what the engineer says, see if maybe at that point we have some sort of action we could take. If it's, writing some sort of letter of support, because Angus, I thought your point's a good one, like if all of HDC is in support and then we also show support, like maybe it's something like that, but I think we should wait to see what the report comes up and how the discussion goes at HDC, if everyone else agrees.
I think that sounds reasonable. I see heads nodding in the room. Great. Hillary, yes, your hand's up.
Yeah, I just wondered if there was any desire to have any kind of more robust, independent analysis building on what Angus did informally. Do you think that would be helpful? If a nonprofit wanted to do that, or individual?
I think that's very important.
Yes.
Sarah?
From a building perspective, the difficulty with that would be unless you have approval from the owner, being the electric company, to go on site and do that and conduct that. I don't know that anyone would be willing to go out on a limb, shall we say, without their approval, and their interest is not aligned with having external analysis that would potentially contradict what they want their narrative to be. And so unless it's something that would be required by the HCC, who has the power to actually institute that, I'm not sure that, us as a board saying it would be really nice if we had someone look at this from the exterior, maybe you could do that, but certainly from, looking at the building as a whole and doing, hiring someone to write up an analysis that could be presented, I think could be very problematic.
Right, they certainly couldn't go onto the site without permission. So I guess there's really two questions. One, how important is it? Would it be useful? Would it be even critical? And two, would it be possible? And of course, if it's not possible, one is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Chair, can I comment? I think it comes down to who has the ability to request a third party to view that. And I don't know, I would think that maybe the HDC does have the ability to require that.
Right.
I just don't know. But, I think that it would be a situation where you would definitely have to have a third party going in there who a third party that's hired by a body that actually has teeth and that can do something about that. Because I do believe that, the electric company is not in the business of restoring historic structures. This structure is there. They don't want it to be there. It's going to cost them a lot of money to restore it. The highest and best use for that area of land to them is to basically have it demoed and have a clear building site and be able to either sell it or develop it in such a way that it would be the highest and best use. So knowing that in terms of their agenda, my guess is that's what they're going to try and present. In order to, have a differing view, I'm just wondering if the HDC has teeth enough to be able to require a third party analysis of that building if what comes back on the 16th is something that you don't want to see.
Yes, I think, thank you, Sarah. I think that's a great point. And I do think it would seem to be the HDC as the regulatory body that would have the power to require an independent
Would the select board
analysis.
have any ability to pursue that?
I don't think so.
Because it's a
No, I
reservation
mean,
issue. It's
I mean, as has been pointed out by the chair of the HTC. The HTC has their own independent
Okay,
enabling legislation. That's the state.
Okay, I mean, that's great if that relies
It's-
on them. I mean,
It's quasi, I mean, I really do think that it's tricky.
Yeah.
Because they're all, also, they're independent, yes, with the special act, but they're also tied in with the charter. So, yeah, that's
just
why,
to Sarah's point, who has more teeth?
right,
I guess we're looking for the person who has the most sway.
right. And that maybe that might get to a point where the chair of the HTC may need to request additional fund. It's not like we have funding for preservation related things, and so.
Yes, and maybe this is something, not to throw this on you, Angus, but as a member of the HTC, this is potentially something you could keep in the back of your head at that meeting in January.
I was just looking to see the continuation. So it's continued until January 14th. So we'll be meeting 3 days later.
Yeah.
And can discuss that. But I think that Sarah has a good point about the HDC as being the regulatory board has the teeth to state requirements for whoever, we're considering, in this case, the electric company, but the HDC, the NHC, of course, is, our responsibility is preserving the historic assets of Nantucket, which this is one, and advising the existing boards, whether that's the HDC or the select board or whoever's involved on the best ways to achieve the common goal of everybody, which is preservation of our assets. So it might actually be an opportunity for us to team up where the HDC requests independent access, and we might be able to assist in that effort.
These vote
Yeah,
with them. Don't you think?
yes. Oh, working together.
I mean, I think it just sounds like, let's see what happens after the meeting on the 14th, but this might be an opportunity, like you guys said, but I think it really depends on how the meeting goes.
Yeah, I think that's right.
For the benefit of this commission and the public, we post our packets the Friday before Tuesday, so you should have something from them before then.
On the 10th.
Yeah, so.
Great. Okay, so we will be sure to keep an eye on this, and we'll post it for that January 17th meeting. Great, and if there's nothing further on this, we can move on to commission goals, which are the goal document from last month was in the packet. Lots of green dots. Love it.
There's really not many changes. One was just that we're waiting. I changed the date where it said we're waiting feedback. We're still awaiting feedback before the end of the year, but Holly just said in her staff update, it's probably going to be early next year. And then the only other thing I wanted to note was we did have the stuff about the wind farm meeting. Brona Simon from the MHC, she did in fact sign the MOU, unfortunately. So I just wanted people to be aware of that.
Yep.
She did sign it, so I don't know if that means that BOEM may get the actual permit. It might be today. I know the deadline was yesterday or today for them to get the permit issued by the federal government, so.
Did the federal government actually, continue their,
Well, they have until the end of today, I think, to
Okay.
fund the government.
Yeah, 'cause if they
so the
don't,
government is still.
they
open,
don't,
yeah.
then the federal government will not be funding any non-essential departments, and this is included. Boom.
So,
So,
TBD, I guess, on that.
yes,
But
Yeah.
just wanted to note for our purpose that Brona did agree and sign, so. even
Yeah,
if
and
he
I
has to-
Yeah, sorry, I mean, just to say, it was an interesting letter. I would encourage anybody to read it if you haven't.
I can
It sort
forward
of
it.
acknowledges,
Oh, good.
the fact that the level of mitigation funding being required is not really sufficient to the cumulative impact of all of these projects, and says, oh, that should be considered for future projects, and yet,
She signed.
so implying that it's not sufficient and yet still signing off.
Right.
I
Yeah,
thought it was an interesting read.
yeah, I agree.
And you'll send that to us?
Yes, I'll send that.
Thank
Yep,
you.
absolutely.
But yes, okay. Thank you, Abby. Was there anything else?
Sorry, I went on mute. The only other thing is obviously we have our historic tax credit letter that we're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Great.
And
Yeah, I just want to say I was pleased with the progress the town has made about restoring the sidewalks. They look like they're doing a good job, and they've actually given them some height, because what happens is they keep re-asphalting and eventually there's no curb, which is a problem for protecting pedestrians. A curb has some value, keeping you from getting run over. And it's exciting to see the sidewalks coming back.
which ones in particular are you happy with? So I can.
Oh, well, Center Street and Gardner Street. Because when they're out, they just give this asphalt that blends into the street and it slopes. You just tend to slide in there. And it's not obvious to either pedestrian or driver where exactly the sidewalk isn't. And there's certainly no barrier to going up onto the sidewalk.
I agree with you. I saw that and I thought, is this a new change in policy to
Yeah.
just kind of spread?
Well, I think they did that. I think, weren't we told that they had to wait for the ground to settle or something after they laid the pipe? So they didn't try to restore them originally, or maybe it just is really time consuming. So but they let like a year go by before they actually tried to. I'm sure it's very labor intensive putting those, digging it all out, mounting the curbing, bringing back the bricks,
Yes.
all of that.
Yes,
And the asphalt's a quick Band-Aid till they can put a real sidewalk back in.
yeah, it is a labor intensive and phased out process, and I can tell you that David Gray is extremely attentive to the character and setting of the historic district, and he calls me with anything, even when they find certain things as they've been going through the whole process, like another cistern here and a cistern there. They found one on Liberty Street. So that's been documented with photographs. But to the restoration of the sidewalks, again, all that material went directly to the sewer department. So that way they could keep track of it when it was come time to bring it back. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it's.
No, it looks good, and it's got a real rise over the asphalt, so.
Well, that's a deterrent to driving on the sidewalk.
And they're just repairing, I mean, all the places where the sidewalk will get crushed again to when, people are trying to get by and they deliberately go up on the sidewalk, it depresses the bricks but you can only do so much about that on these narrow streets.
An example of when you have layers and layers and layers of asphalt, Vestal Street. That's what happened with Vestal Street near Mariah Mitchell's.
Yeah.
It just had layers and layers and layers, so they were able to bring it down and reveal a lot of the historic features.
There's a lot of places around town where the curb is like 3/4 of an inch
Yeah.
above the asphalt,
Mhm.
because they just keep asphalting and without changing the sidewalk.
Well, Madam Chair, I will inform the sewer director that our commissioner is happy. That's good.
Great. All right,
Anytime you
wonderful.
can do that, that's good.
Yes.
Um,
Chair, Sarah wants to talk and then I do.
So I just
okay.
have one thing to add, Madam Chair. So with the sidewalks, they did a phenomenal job on Center Street. In addition to doing what was there and replacing what was there, they actually extended from what is it? The restaurant, American Seasons, all the way to the edge of Gull, which was in front of 82 Center, which had been an asphalt sidewalk. And when they were doing this, they extended the brick all the way down to where the private / Gull / Westchester Street starts. So it's kind of the beginning of the sidewalk on Center Street. So they actually added additional material that they didn't have to do to make it look better. So they did a great job.
Wonderful. Thanks. And then Angus?
Oh, I just wanted to compliment the work as well. And to George's point, the curbs are appreciably higher, at least along Gardner, than they were before. So I think that will deter people from just driving up onto the sidewalks. I did get a call from Marcia Fader, who is right at that sort of near where Liberty Street comes into Gardner, across the street. And even with, I guess it was with the road dropping, maybe the sidewalk dropped, but anyway, there's probably about 9 inches or so of where there was grade that has just been dropped. So the roots of her hedges are exposed. So it looks like one of the neighboring properties had put boards up in front to contain it, which I don't think really is in keeping, and wood, of course, it's just a matter of time before it rots. So I thought that a good suggestion, instead of retaining, would be to just drop the hedge to the height of the sidewalk, which is involved, but it's, I think, less involved and will be a lasting remedy than to try to do retaining either on the front side or back side of the hedges.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That would be the owner's responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't plant anything in the right of way anyways.
Yeah, but then if it's an old existing hedge, to lower the height of the hedge would be a massive project, I would think.
Yeah.
They
Dig
have
it up.
fairly shallow root systems. I've seen I've seen them as shallow as 1.5 or 2 feet. So it's not like a tree with tap roots or something, luckily, but it is a project.
For sure. Yes, Hillary?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I have 2 comments. One about the curbs. The other thing, a benefit of the curbs being higher, and when this project was spec'd, those curbs were spec'd at 1 inch. And so I hope this commission is proud about a lot of the work that was done in the early stage, coordinating with the sewer department, reviewing all the specifications and providing all the historic information, because it made a huge difference. The curbs also protect the buildings from stormwater, which, as you know, these streets can just become rivers when we have deluges. So the stormwater gets in the foundations and is damaging, and it's a real problem. So that's good. The second thing I wanted to say is the opportunity to document the construction and the restoration of Winter Street to cobblestones according to the preservation specifications that this commission accepted several years back and are in the street guidelines that are on the website. I think that's pretty exciting, because they're, beach cobble streets are extremely unusual to find anywhere, and they're generally not well maintained. Certainly the beach cobbles on Main Street are not, in most places that have been dug up, not put back correctly. So I don't know, Holly, if you're getting photographs taken, but I just think it's really exciting to share from an education perspective with the world, the work that Nantucket is doing with correct reconstruction of Winter Street using original material.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a question.
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, so David, I know, has been documenting, and his crew and his, his consultants. I receive a couple little things here and there, but as far as the restoration of, say, Winter Street, I have not seen anything, but I can definitely ask him if he could provide anything to the commission. I think that would be
that would
helpful.
be wonderful. because it certainly will be exciting to see that,
Yeah,
back to college.
Have they started that process or not?
it's all, yeah,
It's all, well,
it's all open.
it's dug up in dirt right now. I don't think, I just drove past it this morning and it didn't look like, you know, any of that cobbling process was ongoing yet, but it's, yeah, the asphalt's all torn up.
I walked by there at Stroll and saw all that, so. It's exciting, and, you know, I think. I commend David, you know, he's a native just like me, and, you know, he wanted to make sure that his consultants understood. You know, that it's important that these things go back, so. I don't know, it's nice to see this work.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. All right, so if there's no further comments, we can move on to the approval of minutes from the November 15th, 2024 meeting. Did anyone have any edits or corrections or anything from those minutes?
Thank you, Abby.
Yes,
I
thank
did
you,
not.
Abby, our diligent secretary.
Minutes are so difficult.
I will move to approve the minutes of
All
the
right,
November 15th meeting.
Second.
all right, motion to approve the minutes made by Clement and seconded by George. Clement on your motion?
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Abby,
Aye.
Angus,
Hi.
Diane,
Aye.
Sarah,
I,
I'm an I as well. Great, so then lastly on the agenda, we have other business. Any other business, something I would mention, I know Holly sent out to us the link to the master planning
Yes.
survey that the town is soliciting responses to. I'd
Yes.
encourage everybody to respond to that. The deadline's what, January?
Sometime in January, it should be on that email.
Yeah.
That was forwarded.
Is it the 13th, maybe?
That
I
sounds
did
right.
it already. I did it.
Thank you.
I did it too.
Excellent.
Oh,
Yeah, I
great.
did it as well.
Same here.
Love it. Anything else?
Well, I think it was big news that the Athenaeum got
Yes.
hooked up again.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness, yes.
Oh my God, our historic newspaper database is back up and searchable, not 100%. There's still some years, I think,
Yeah,
missing
there's
from, but that will be completed in early 2028, and it's a great historic resource. I'm sure PIN is very excited for their fish spot survey
Yes.
work that, you know, they're doing with the CPC funding.
Yeah.
That I think will make a huge difference.
Yeah.
For that project and for their ability to complete that work remotely.
I also sent it over to MHC because they
Oh,
were
for
aware of
Penn,
it being down.
Or, not for Finch, for
Yeah,
PAL.
Pal and
Yeah.
Ginny as well, and she was very excited to see that. So, you know, there's, I don't know, there's only us, we're older. We geek out about that kind of stuff, so it
No,
was
I know,
nice.
I mean, I know there were people
Yeah.
across the country,
Yes.
you know, researchers and scholars who will be thrilled that it's back, so.
And if you, and in my opinion, I think it's easier. It seems to be a little more
It's very
user friendly.
friendly, yeah, the interface is nice.
Yeah, so all you gotta do is, there it is.
Yeah, it's good, and it's nice if you make an account, like if you notice an error with the transcription, you can correct it, which is nice too, so it'll be, you know, improving over time. I think it's great.
Who got, what service did they use? Does anybody know?
I think Viridian, something, I think is the name of it. But it's sort of hosted, it looked like it was something created specifically like for the Athenaeum, like the user interface sort of matches the design of their larger website, unlike, you know, before where it was that Olive hosting. So it looks like something kind of custom built for them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's, personally, I take this as the best news at the end of the year. You
Yeah,
know?
we were celebrating in the MPT office
I bet.
yesterday.
I bet. Yep.
Great,
Well,
so.
I'm happy to make a motion to adjourn. This is record time.
It is.
I'll second that motion.
All right, Angus on your motion,
Aye.
Summit,
Aye.
George, Diane,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and Abby.
Aye.
I'm an I as well. Thank you all very much and Happy New Year and happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
and-
Yay.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas,
Thank you,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Aye.
Bye-bye.